What's up everyone, this is Reese Williams. Welcome back to another episode of Just Putting Around. And today, we're talking about tag team wrestling. That's right, the art of the hot tag, the double team finisher, and the sneaky rough distractions that make this business so damn entertaining. Now, a lot of modern wrestling fans forget how crucial tag team wrestling is to this industry's DNA. The best teams aren't just two blokes paired together because creative had nothing better for them that week. Nah, the greats were a unit, a bond forged in blood, sweat and steel chairs to the skull. So today, I'm counting down what I reckon are the top 10 greatest tag teams in wrestling history. But before we hit the main list, we've got to show some love to a few crews who are absolute guns in their own right. Honourable mentions. Let's go. Alright, first up, the Usos. Day one-ish, baby. These lads have been holding it down for over a decade in WWE. And if we're being honest, they're one of the few teams keeping tag team wrestling relevant in modern WWE landscape. Heel Usos in the Bloodline, some of their best work. Next, the Rock and Roll Express. Now, for you youngins who think the Young Bucks invented the super kick party, these boys were throwing super kicks and taking Canadian destroyers before you were even a concept. Pioneers of the high speed bump heavy style. Then you've got Harlem Heat, Booker T and Stevie Ray, 10-time WCW Tag Team Champions, unmatched charisma, and if you didn't pop for Booker's Spinneroonie, you have no soul. Demolition gets a nod too. Yeah, they were the discount Road Warriors, but you can't deny these guys held it down in the late 80s WWE scene. Great theme music, killer face paint, and a solid tag title run. FTR makes the list as well. Dax and Cash, no flips, just fists, and old school tag team wrestling done right. Every match they took is a textbook brilliance, whether it's in AEW, ROH or New Japan Pro Wrestling. And finally, the Mega Powers. Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. Was it a long-term tag team? No. Was it absolute chaos held together by a cocaine jealousy and 80s egomania? Yes, and we loved every second. So, let's kick off the list at number 10 with some Southern wrestling. The Midnight Express weren't just a tag team, they were the heel team of the 80s. Managed by the mouthy, tennis racket wielding Jim Cornette, Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane made tag matches feel like main events every night. They were tactical, dirty and technically brilliant. Eaton was criminally underrated worker and Lane had charisma for days. Together, they were heat magnets, with Cornette drawing nuclear boos. Every babyface team that faced them, from the Rock and Roll Express to the Road Warriors, looked better because of them. At number 9, we have the British Bulldogs. Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith. Two Brits who hit like tanks and moved like cruiserweights. The Bulldogs brought an athletic style to WWE's often slow, plodding tag scene in the 80s. Dynamite was one of the best workers on the planet at the time, and Davey Boy's power was unmatched. They had absolute bangers with the Hart Foundation, the Rougeaus, and the Islanders. If you haven't seen their matches, go find their WrestleMania 2 bout against Valentine and Beefcake. Stiff as hell. Dynamite was a menace and Davey Boy was an icon. At number 8, the New Day. This team should have never worked. It started as a weird gospel choir gimmick no one asked for, and then they flipped it, leaned into the comedy, and became one of WWE's most entertaining acts ever. Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods have done it all, from pancake throwing to booty-o cereal to hellacious TLC matches. They held the longest WWE tag title reign in history and could seamlessly switch between comedy goofs and serious main eventers. Kofi Mania, That spark came from New Day's grind. At number 7, we've got the Young Bucks. Now, I know these blokes are polarising. Half the fans think they're the saviours of tag wrestling, the other half think they're spot monkeys who spam super kicks. But you can't deny what Matt and Nick Jackson have done for tag team wrestling. They made indie tag matches must-see, helped launch AEW, and influenced an entire generation of wrestlers. Yeah, they flip a lot, but they also tell a damn good story. Just check out their FTR matches or that classic against Omega and Hangman. You'll see why they belong here. At number 6, we got the Steiner brothers. Rick and Scott Steiner were absolute units. In the early 90s, these boys combined amateur wrestling skills with pure, unfiltered aggression. Scott was doing Frankensteiners when no one on his side had any business pulling that off, and Rick just a wrecking ball with headgear. Their matches were brutal, stiff, and you felt every suplex. They held gold in WCW, WWE, and New Japan, and honestly, few tag teams were as believable in a real fight. At number 5, you got Edge and Christian. If you grew up in the Attitude Era, you already know why these two are here. They redefined ladder matches and made TLC a household name. Edge and Christian weren't just daredevils though, they were hilarious. The 5-second poses, their goofy interviews, and their constant trolling of the Hardys and the Dudleys was peak entertainment. And when it was time to get serious, they delivered absolute classics. WrestleMania 2000, TLC 2, pure carnage. Plus, Edge went on to be a world champ, and Christian quietly became one of the most consistent workers of his era. Next up, we got the Hart Foundation, which is Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. The Hitman and the Anvil, Pink and Black Attack. These two were the perfect tag team formula. Bret was the technician, crisp, clean, and methodical. Neidhart was a powerhouse, barking like a madman and tossing people around. Their feuds with the Bulldogs, Demolition, and the Brainbusters were classics. They made tag team wrestling feel legit. Every move mattered, and Bret, of course, will go on to be one of the best to ever do it. At number 3, we got the Dudley Boys. ECW icons turned WWE legends. Bubba Ray and Devon took hardcore wrestling to another level. If it wasn't nailed down, they were putting someone through it. Chairs, ladders, tables, especially tables. 20 plus tag titles across ECW, WWE, TNA, and New Japan. That's not just longevity, that's domination. And let's be honest, if you haven't heard Devon, get the tables at least once in your life, you're lying. At number 2, you got the Hardy Boys. Matt and Jeff, the rock stars of the Attitude Era. High risk, high reward, and borderline insane. Their matches weren't just about big moves, they had heart. You wanted to see Jeff climb something stupidly tall and dive off it. And Matt's psychology was always underrated. TLC matches, they were the MVPs. And even years later, the 2017 WrestleMania return blew the roof off the place. Nostalgia, talent, and sheer guts. At number 1, we got the Road Warriors / Legion of Doom. Was there any doubt? Hulk and Animal weren't just a tag team. They were a force of nature. The look, the face paint, the spikes. They made an entrance and you knew people were about to die. They held tag gold literally everywhere. AWA, NWA, WCW, WWE, All Japan, you name it. And their Doomsday Device finisher? Straight up lethal. The Road Warriors weren't just the most dominant tag team ever, they were an experience. And there you have it, wrestling fans, my definitive stone cold table breaking top 10 tag teams of all time. Agree, disagree, want to fight me in a steel cage, hit me up in the comments, socials, wherever you can find me. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow, share, leave a rating, or tell your mates. Whatever helps keep this podcast rolling. Until next time, this is Reese Williams signing off. Stay rowdy, stay reckless, and for God's sake, Devon, get the tables.